Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about ideas and how they're structured and that relationship with identity labels. For Let's start at what an idea is. An idea, for all intents and purposes, is a pattern that means something to you. If, for example, hey, the sky is blue. If you think of sky, you think of the color blue because of that sentence I just said. And sentences, in a sense, are how we, in theory, think about ideas. We think about them in that format because that's how we're taught to think of ideas. Ideas are just the chemical reactions that form a certain pattern to follow whatever it is you think that you're thinking. If you say, hey, the sky is blue, and then someone says, hey, look up at the sky, you already have a presupposed idea of, hey, this is going to be blue. We just look at the sky, it's blue. But it's not always blue, is it? Sometimes it's cloudy, sometimes it's sunset, sometimes it's nighttime. Point is, we have that pattern of thinking of the sky as blue because that's what it is most of the time for us. We look at the sky, oh, it's blue. That's how an idea is made. You have a combination of different concepts put together, and that combination of things is the resulting idea. If you, for example, now let me back this up a little and go on to my next point. If in language, an idea is a complete thought, is a complete sentence. Saying the sky is blue is a thought in the sense of a language because that has all of the different patterns programmed into it to mean a complete thought to somebody else. You say the sky is blue to somebody, they register it as, oh, the sky is blue. If you just say sky, it doesn't feel complete to them because you could be meaning a whole bunch of different things and you need more clarity. Because if you just look at the word sky, hey, sky. That's the thing up there, right? Or it could mean the atmosphere to someone who's scientifically minded, or it could mean a lot of things. So, when in terms of language, when you think of a thought, you're thinking of a complete sentence. That means everything, all of the different patterns involved in each part of that sentence. And even the period has a point because it tells you, hey, this is where this thought ends and another thought begins. I know it's annoying to be talking about grammar, but yeah, that's how we have thoughts. I hope I haven't lost you yet. So, and this is why it's important not to bog yourself down with identity labels. Identity labels, I'm just going to go with the one that I'm most happy to call myself in most situations. I'm an atheist. I do not believe in a God or gods. Now, someone else hears that word atheist and they are religious. They have been taught that atheist is equivalent to an abomination. They want to take away your beliefs. They want to take away your thoughts. That's not what I mean. Why would I do that? There's no reason. So, if you have the thought of atheist, In my head, I have a certain pattern it's a very simple pattern. You say, hey, I don't believe in a God or gods. We can go into way more detail if you want, but that's the simple part of it. And there is always more detail because everything always relates to something else. Because there's no such thing as an end point in a thought. There's how you want to organize that thought. You could put an endpoint in the organization of that thought. But the thought itself is electricity. It's a vast array of little electrons moving around your head to mean something specific. Me talking is being translated over this recording, and it means something when you hear it. When you hear it, you're thinking of something that has specific meaning to you because you were taught this pattern of vocal vibrations means certain words. And those words are then translated to what you think. Because me speaking has a direct effect on you. And you speaking has a direct effect on me. Because it's just a chain of events. And this, if you want to think of that in the whole free will versus determinism thing, let me stop you right there. It's a pointless thought exercise that just goes around in circles. So my bad for bringing it up that way. It doesn't help. And why doesn't it help? It doesn't help because we have such a insane amount of variables associated with every thought. Your thought can go infinite because you can think of something, think of what that's connected to, think about something else that it's connected to, think about something else that it's connected to, think about something else that it's connected to, and then arrive at the same spot. Because if everything is cause and effect, you can, in theory, just go around in circles. Because, hey, if one thing leads to another, and that thing leads to something else, and that thing leads to something else, every little point of reality has its own cause and effect chain. Now, all of those different things, they lead to all sorts of different combinations that, when observed for us, when we observe something, we look at that thing and then say, hey, that's the pattern that equates to this. That's the problem with identity labels. If we only go based on the word atheist, this means you don't believe in God or a God or gods. You don't believe in any gods. Cool. What else does it mean? That's all it's supposed to mean. But people are going to then want the complete thought. They're going to supplant their own definition into your thought because, like I said, thoughts don't stop. There's no stopping to the electrical pattern that goes on in your head. You can organize it to make it seem like it stops. Like if you take a picture of your brain in an MRI and you were thinking of a certain thing, that picture might be a small fraction of that thought and mean, hey, he thought of this at this exact second, at that exact time. Point is, I gotta stop. Because like I said, thoughts are patterns and words are patterns that mean something to us in relation to something else. So, if you say you're an atheist, if you say you're a leftist, if you say you're a conservative, if you say you're a right-winger, if you say I self-identify as a Apache helicopter. These all mean something to somebody else, and they will only look at their own preconceived pattern for that word. So if you really want to actually exchange your idea, if you actually want to have a conversation that alters both your own pattern and their pattern, you have to drop the preconceived patterns. You have to go step by step through what your idea is, and you have to portray it in multiple forms, because that's how you study. When you're the best studiers are the people who take some form of information and then represent it in a different form. What do I mean by that? If you're trying to memorize a certain, like a play, for example, if you're trying to memorize your lines for a play, you might read the lines. You might then stand up and then read the lines out loud. You then might write the lines. You've done the same thing in 3 different ways, because each layer of of those words have been put in different formats. So that's what you need to do. That's what everyone needs to do when they're talking to somebody. You can't just presuppose. That's why I don't like identity labels. Identity labels are easy outs that essentially force you to think of someone in a certain way. And this certain way, that's not how you get to know somebody. And that's my problem. If you just look at the bare minimum of somebody, you haven't gotten to know them. If you just have a first glance and say, "Hey, hi, how are you?" And they look kind of shabby and gross or whatever. They look like they just came off the set of The Walking Dead. Their clothes are in tatters. They might look like a hobo. But then you talk to them for a second, and then you find out, oh, they literally did come off the set of The Walking Dead. You're like, oh shit, you're a completely different idea from what I had. That's why identity labels don't help. If you hear in political discourse, you hear the words, oh, he's liberal, he's a conservative, or he's a socialist, or he's a capitalist pig, or he's any of those things. It doesn't matter. If you have an idea, that idea needs to be explained thoroughly and translated thoroughly. If you want to simplify things, you have to arrive at the complex solution first, and then try to simplify it from there. Because if you just start at the simplified idea, you're only showing that one aspect of it. You aren't showing the whole picture. A picture is worth 1,000 words, because a picture is a multitude of different patterns based on your eyesight that can be described in 1,000 different ways. That's what that means. It means a picture is worth 1,000 words because you can see it in as many different ways as you can imagine it. That's the essence of thought. Thought is just a pattern. So, okay, I feel like I'm repeating myself. Please, comment. Ask for specifications. Try to reword it back to me. Or say I'm full of shit and tell me your version of what thoughts are, what ideas are. Because, like I've been basically repeating myself for about 15 minutes now, ideas are complex. And I'm just trying to describe it the way that I've learned. So, bye.